Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Not the result we wanted at all. I've seen Twitter absolutely blow up. We've had slanging matches in our WhatsApp group, and it's started to get a little bit bitter. I've got some great guests on tonight, 7 of us. It should be great fun. Lots of things going to be said. Lots of people probably talking about Ollie a little bit, and we'll try and dissect that the best we can. See you on the other side.
Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Well. Thanks for joining me, guys. I mean, I'm going to have to stop these review shows. Connor will tell you, because every time I do one, we lose the game. So I'm going to have to retire after this. But anyway, it wasn't always the case up until recently. But seriously, it was not our night tonight, was it? I think it was more to do with that. Just not really enough luck. Obviously, we played a complete different team. And if you remember rightly, last year in the Champions League, we did that, and it cost us. And I think it's just cost us again tonight. Connor, where did it go wrong, bro?
Just that's the difference between the second string and the first string. I think we didn't play that bad, to be honest. I think when people say we didn't play that bad, I think you can look at the shot count and then look at the shots on target count. They are massively, there's a big gap between them, and we probably should have had more shots on target. There was a couple of rush shots towards the end. As good as Bruno was when he came on, he was panicking. It seemed like he was panicking. He probably wasn't, but just taking shots from distance and playing the wrong pass at time. I mean, it's not as bad as everyone was saying it was. It was all right. We had enough of the ball. We had enough of, enough chances to win the game. Clear penalty, but I'm not going to go into that. Callum's exactly right. Bailly and Lindelof were good. I thought, pretty solid at the back. The midfield was okay. It was just okay. I don't, and I said that's the difference when you've got someone like Ronaldo, Greenwood, a fit Rashford or Bruno or Cavani playing. That's the difference you get. You get clinical chance finishing and things like that, and that's just not what we had today. So it's not as bad as everyone makes out. Yes, I'm bloody disappointed that we lost, because you don't want to lose any game as a United fan. I want us to win the bloody cut in the grass trophy or whatever. I want us to win everything, but it's what it is. It's not. It's the first one I can think of. It's not the highest priority. It is what it is. We move on.
Connor, I reckon what they were missing is probably yourself and I in the stadium, which you'll be pleased to know that we're both going to be there next week to watch the game against Villarreal. So hopefully next week brings us a bit of luck.
So will I.
Hey, you're there too.
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh mate, we'll have to go for a drink and meet up. Anyway, that's for another matter. Anyway, Bainesy, listen, great to have you on again, bro. It's been a little while.
Thank you for having me.
What were your thoughts on that one, mate?
Disappointed, not devastated. I think to sum it up really in quick words. Disappointed that we lost. I don't like United losing. No one does. My missus will be the first one to tell you that. But I'm not devastated. I mean, it's the Carabao Cup. If you were to line up the 4 trophies, you're going to put the Carabao Cup last. So I'm not as devastated as everyone else on Twitter, especially. Can't blame Ollie. I think the team played pretty well, actually, to be honest. And we've had a good sign of other players trying to play their way into the team. I think most of us can agree that Martial, as much as I love that guy, I think he's done. There was a story that came out this morning saying that he could be sold in January. He might be done now. Van der Beek played relatively well. I'm not going to say he played amazing. I don't think he did. He was at fault for the goal as well. So, you give what you take, I suppose. But yeah, in a nutshell, I'm disappointed, but not devastated. It's, if this was in the league, then I would be screaming and shouting and all sorts and saying that we got it wrong and it weren't our night. But it is what it is at the end of the day.
I think you've summed it up perfectly, actually, Bainesy. Cal.
Yeah, Baines right. I mean, I'm disappointed whenever United lose. However, I said on the preview, it's Carabao Cup, and it is the least prioritised cup us three kind of did have a discussion, and none of us thought we'd make 11 changes. Look, there was going to be rustiness within the squad, within the side that was picked tonight. 4 players played the first minutes of the season. 2 players had their first starts. So, it was. I think tonight was probably more about getting minutes under the belt for some of these players, keep the match fitness up. I've not even bothered looking at Twitter because I can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered seeing clowns go, "Oh, Ollie out," and no passion and all the usual garbage that actually doesn't mean anything. It's just ridiculous, really. It was always going to happen. I thought Van der Beek had a decent game. I don't think he probably played his way into the first 11, but I think he probably did show what he can do. I thought he was very good on the ball, but not so good off the ball, which maybe will come with more minutes on the field, getting used to the system that we were playing. Juan Mata didn't seem to do much for me. I thought Matic was the best player on the pitch, along with Sancho. Sancho was creating a lot. You could see Greenwood did well when he came on. But look, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It was an unlucky on the night kind of performance. We could, on another day, we'd have easily scored 2 or 3 of our shots on targets, and we just didn't. We didn't do. Look, at the end of the day, the game we wanted to win out of these 2 was the one on Sunday, and we did that. So I'm sure there'll be an overreaction, and I'm sure Ollie will be losing his job again tomorrow, and he'd have caused World War III and caused every other bad thing in the world. He probably caused the Afghanistan problems and everything going wrong with climate change, and I don't know, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine on Saturday when we win again. So let's just carry on,
But at least we can make a little bit of humour about it, can't we? Jamie, you wanted to go in next, bro.
Yeah, I'll be very quick, obviously, because of the environment that I'm in. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I think the biggest thing I'm going to pick up on tonight, and I'll be as quick as I can with this, if Fred had put in that Donny van der Beek performance, we'd all be calling for his head. I love Van der Beek as much as the next guy, and I really want to succeed at United, but I think he was poor tonight. His ball attention was poor. You could tell that he was auditioning for the team tonight, and he looked like a trialist who was trying off everything. We've all been there. We've all seen, you all turn up to those Sunday League trials or whatever, and you think, I'm doing my best to get into this side because I want to play football. And there's always that one boy tries that he's spectacular constantly. And I think it just wasn't Donny's night tonight. I think he tried far too much. It didn't work. Mason was actually dynamite when he came on. That guy, it has no ceiling in his potential. I don't want to hear any debates about people that he's compared to. The way he takes the ball around defenders, composure on the ball. The time seems to slow down for him when he's got a ball at his feet. I'm realistically, I know we're saying everything that we are. I don't think it was Ollie's fault. If he hadn't rotated the squad tonight, people would have been calling for it anyway, because they'd have said, we've got another game in the weekend, we've got Champions League game coming up next week, and he's not rotating the squad. People would have been screaming out saying, I want to see Tellers, I want to see Dallas. Tellers was poor tonight, absolutely fucking poor. So absolutely poor. Dallo was decent, but like a comment said before, we were bloated on the left-hand side. There was no one ahead of Dallo making the runs on the right wing. Because impressed when it came to, with Mata. Mata makes those runs around the box there. Lingard drifted, but no one really occupied that right-hand side. I think Sancho was wasted out on the left. He played well. I think he would have played better on the right-hand side with Dallo behind him. I think we were unlucky. At the end of the day, it's one of those things, isn't it? The problem is that we're under the microscope constantly because of who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is. We lose a game like this, and like Callum said before, it's World War III. Like it's the worst thing to happen. You lose games 1-0, like it's football, man. Do you know what I mean? Like if we'd have won tonight 1-0, people would have been complaining that we only won 1-0. And also what James said before, it was a penalty on Lingard. I'm sorry that Mark Noble made 5 football challenges in half an hour and didn't get booked for any. He only got booked in about the 70th minute. But he literally grabbed hold of Lingard's shorts, pulled him down. End of the day, I don't think anyone was that bothered. The Carabao Cup, we played a second string side. And the best thing I took from tonight is look at that squad depth that we have building now. Because if we'd have started that 11 in the Premier League about 18 months ago, people would have been absolutely buzzing, right? And they would have been like, oh, it's an amazing starting 11. The fact that that's our second string side is the best. And that's the thing that I think we should take tonight. We were unlucky. Matters effort, the bounce of the bar, spectacular. On another day, that goes in different game. So there we go. Thank you for listening.
Great to listen to you, mate. Thanks very much for that. Great comment by Fred actually here that I just wanted to bring up. So we had no spearhead in attack. Difficult to argue with the starting team, but the attacking players' roles were probably wrong. Martial was not a striker. Sancho should have switched to the right, which you picked up on there, Jamie, with Sancho on the right. There was no sort of attacking prowess from the right-hand side, really, past Dalot. But Martial was a big problem for me tonight. I think probably the worst player on the pitch, and that's not me having an agenda. But I think he really struggled. You know, if you had someone like Greenwood in that middle area, Ronaldo, Cavani, we would have probably won 2 or 3-1. Yeah.
Why is it always an agenda to slate Martial?
No, well,
he's
obviously
been well off the pace for a very long time now, and his movement was absolutely appalling tonight. Performance from Martial tonight should be really shameful, I'm afraid. And I like Martial, but it was appalling, I'm afraid. And he cannot justify any claims to try and stake down a number 9 position when you get an opportunity and that's how you perform. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. And listen, I'm just covering my arse, really. You're right. It's not an agenda at all. And we've been talking about this for ages. I've said for a long time, I think he'll probably be on his way out. But, you know, he had an opportunity being out for so long, not scored since February. He had a real opportunity tonight to sort of prove and show what he's worth. And, you know, he came in being that number 9. And since those days under Louis van Gaal, he hasn't really shown that. Really, has he? Only from coming on the left-hand side. So really disappointing with Martial tonight. And I know a lot of people will go against me. James Ridge, quite a funny comment. Martial, not a striker. He's not a Premier League footballer, for fuck's sake. Fair play. Yeah, it was not ideal at all. My worry, and we spoke about this the other night, didn't we, Cal, Stu, and Connor, I think. I was concerned that if we would have made too many changes, it could be a problem. And I think that was a problem tonight. I think that there just really wasn't any cohesion. Would you agree with that, Connor?
Yeah, do you want to go to Stu? Stu, Stu's looking all perplexed down there.
Yeah.
He hasn't said a word yet.
It's actually perplexed. I was like, I need to give my review, don't I? Because
everyone get your popcorn out. This one's going to be a good one.
Yeah, you might want to get your fucking popcorn out. Yeah, sorry, Ben. Look, I'm actually with the consensus of the panel. I don't really care about the results. I've never liked the League Cup. It's never been high on my agenda. We haven't got a squad good enough to win the quadruple anyway. So you just push it aside. And I know people are going nuts on Twitter and that, and it is what it is. But I would say there's a couple of you guys are missing a point about Donny. And I'm quite surprised because you're all football knowledge guys. You all understand football. And when you look at...
I don't, mate. I just fake it until I make it. But...
When you look at his performance today, although he wasn't outstanding, but nobody was outstanding on our team, what he did was show a level of competence which you need. He shows a level of calmness which you need. He's got a tackle about him. He's got a pass about him. And I'll tell you something. Everybody's raving about Matic tonight, but he was no better than Donny. No better than Donny at all.
To be fair, Stu, I don't feel like I criticised Donny. I said he was good on the ball, but not so good off the ball.
No, I'll agree with that, and I can take that.
They were both terrible.
What I'm hearing is that Matic was a standout player tonight, but he wasn't, and this is the point that I'm making. And the fact that, and I think I'm not saying there's an agenda against Donny, but I think what people are looking to do is try and pick holes in his game. And the problem is, guys, he's not played enough football for you to pick holes in his game. You can't pick holes in his game on 3 or 4 appearances. He needs a run of games. Let's see what happens if he gets 5 games in a row. But he's not going to get that. And it's very, very difficult to play football at any level, at any consistency, if you're in and out the team. I think this is his first 90 minutes, isn't it, since Wolves?
I think the issues, the two small points I'll just quickly make on that one. So the issue I've got with this whole kind of debate or whatever you want to call it, I'm not saying that he was bad, that he wasn't. But what my issue is where people like, I'd actually flip your argument around where you're saying people are picking holes in this game. I feel like people are praising him for doing the simple things where he makes like a 5-yard pass and then they're going, oh, right, he's better than McTominay and Fred, get him in the team. And secondly, I think people are making a lot of excuses. Like there's all this time, oh, he's not playing with quality players. He's not playing in the 6. He's not playing in the 8. Should be playing 10. He needs to be playing more. Needs to be playing. There always seems to be a reason why he's not performing well. So that's just the 2 quick points just on that.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about general football here, not anything special. I'm just talking about general football. And you know, when you look at the team that we had around him, I just thought he stood out for me. Now, look, I've played a decent level of the game. I understand football, you know, and guys can have a laugh and a joke or whatever, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to midfield play. I think, you know, and he's there. You don't have to be a standout performer week in, week out. You just need to be competent in what you need to do. And that's what Donny was tonight. The thing about him also, I saw on Twitter, which I couldn't quite believe, people were blaming him for the goal. Actually, Donny was culpable because, you know, he drifted towards the ball and he left Lanzini. But fucking Jesus Christ, the player skipped through Telles, he skipped through Matic, he skipped through Bailly. You can't just blame Donny for that. It just wound me up. Everything I was seeing and everything I'm hearing, it just wound me up.
Can I just say so on the back of that then? So yes, I actually agree with you. Telles, Matic, and Sancho actually got.
Yeah, it was Sancho.
Got taken past far too easily. Yeah. Lindelof dived it. But could you make the same argument? Because I remember after the Newcastle game, you were quite critical of Varane for diving in, you know, and leaving the runner and Mankey on the far. But that's exactly what Donny did. He left his man to go and dive in to close the ball down. So is that not the same thing?
No, I haven't got an issue with that. It's exactly right, and he was culpable of it. But it doesn't mean Donny's, you know, Donny's the whole mistake. He isn't. And I'll tell you something, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was criticising Varane correctly, all I was getting was, oh, well, actually, it came through Maguire and it came through Shaw. You know, so everyone's culpable of it. Not one player is culpable. All I said was about Varane. If he hadn't dived in and taken 2 steps back, he might have had a better chance of defending the play, or at least making the right back go a bit deeper. All I'm saying is, and people see the game differently, and that's fine. I accept that. But you can't criticise a player for being, you know, who hasn't hardly played the game, for not being a worldie. You know, when Bruno came on today, he gave the ball away 5 or 6 times. But you won't hear that. Nobody will dare criticise that. But they'll get on other players back.
About 5 minutes ago, just saying.
Yeah, to be fair.
I'm not saying
it's not quite picking holes. I get what you're saying. I don't think it's quite picking holes. I think it's just noticing things that you're fully justified in what you're saying. He does need to get the run of games to do it, but it is just noticing the small little things that will be eliminated from his game with a run of play. I don't think it's necessarily a poor, you know, it's not, you know, bad judgment on our part. I think it's just noticing things. And, you know, of course, it will be eliminated when he plays a lot more. But, you know, you can notice, and it doesn't still exempt him from criticism. Anyway,
just quickly, I'm going to stop you there. Jamie has been waiting for so long, looking so patient, but I'm going to make him wait longer. Marcus, I'm pleased you got to sort out your webcam and everything else. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for coming on. What were your general overall thoughts with all of that?
Yeah, I think for me, the game today, I wasn't really expecting a very crisp and clean performance. I always thought that was going to be very difficult. I mean, you got 11 players who haven't played with each other. Like, forget them playing individually and getting minutes individually. They haven't played as a team. So there was always going to be issues in relation to chance creation, in relation to decision-making in the final third. And I think, like, Lingard today was ball hogging so much. Like, everybody knows I would sell Lingard in a heartbeat if I had the opportunity. But that's not what this is about, right? Like, I respect Lingard. I think he can do a job for us off the bench. He's here now. It is what it is. But he was ball hogging so much, and I think that prevented us from creating chances. And the longer the game went on, the more the desperation started to kick in. Even when Bruno came on, he was just making decisions that, yeah, he does lose the ball a lot quite often. But today it was awful. You know, he played like one good pass across the field, but the rest were just head scratches. And I think the only bright player was Greenwood, really.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. There's obviously questions about the first goal, fine, but it looks pretty solid after that. And it wasn't we didn't play badly. It wasn't our problem trying to get forward. It was that lack of decision making. You're absolutely right. Lingard held on to it too long. Bruno was trying to do the spectacular when he came on. Greenwood looked excellent when he came on. Martial just was, non-existent and didn't latch on to anything. Jamie, you go, bro. Sorry, mate.
That's right. I was, I had the hand up. I was only joking a little bit. So this is like, a contrary opinion here. Personally, I think until Green's inclusion, I think Lingard was one of the best players on the pitch. I understand that people might disagree with me there. I think he was positive with the ball. He was one of our only players after we conceded that looked confident in possession, that wanted to drive the ball forward. And I know there might be some frustrations there that he held on to the ball a little bit too long, and that he should have been a bit more creative with the possession that he had. But he was the one that was looking for that outlet, looking for that opportunity. And just going back to what we were talking about with Donny van der Beek is that, and again, I agree with Stu, and I don't use to disagree here, that we can't really judge a player too much on, because he doesn't play that often. He's not a first team regular, and he needs to get used to it. But then at the same time, we all scream for him to start based on what? Literally, based on what? Based on a Champions League run for Ajax 2-3 years ago. We know that he's a good player, so I think we judge him by both standards. We want him to start because we know what he can do, and then we criticise him because we know what he can do. Like it's two sides of the same coin. I was disappointed with Donny tonight. I think he's given a really good opportunity to audition for the first team and show why he should have played, played in that pivot. If we're going to consist with a pivot, why he should play that. And I don't think he did that tonight. I was quite disappointed with him. I still rate him. I still think he's a wonderfully gifted footballer. Because again, like we always show on the channel, one of the reasons I love being on this channel is to show you can critique somebody without having an agenda. You can still relate to me as a footballer, and you can still critique them from it. I don't think Bruno was great tonight. I think he wanted to be the hero. Ronaldo coming in has probably impacted Bruno's ego a little bit. He's gone from being the talisman that pulled us out of the mud when we signed him to now knowing that our prodigal son's returns home, and he wants to do something that makes everyone go, what, Bruno? So, and this is a little bit of tangent here, and I apologise. What probably will really annoy Bruno is that so many people in Fantasy Premier League are selling him to bring Ronaldo in as a forward, and things happen, it will matter. But that's the thing, like, we can critique people and also still appreciate them as footballers. I think the comments that have been made tonight about Martial were correct. I don't understand, for me, playing at fullback two of the best crosses that we have of the ball, because Telles and both are probably two of our best deliverers, without a target man or a centre forward that will attack the ball. Because Martial does not plan the air. Martial does not cause a threat, in a heading scenario, especially against like Craig Dawson. So if Cavani had been on, if Ronaldo had been on, I think we would have scored 4 or 5 from the crosses. We put a few really good balls in. So did Telles. I think, again, I don't know about Telles being quite poor tonight defensively. He looked off the pace, but similar to what Stu said, he's come back from 2 injuries. He's been in and out of the team. Like, he's not really cemented a first team starting position. And all I want to say there is that, like, I think we do need to balance that out of being able to critique people, still reckon that they have a place in the side. I think Lingard tonight was very good. I was critical of him, for 18 months. And then you learn about what he went through. His loan spell was amazing. He came back and he looks a decent squad player for us. And just then finally on the goal, what really confused me, somebody, and in all seriousness, someone might be able to answer this for me. Why was Dean Henderson covering his near post when the attacker was on the byline? So there's a defender stood in front of him. Surely Henderson should have been positioning himself a little bit further down the line, allowed the defenders to cover that side, and that would have stopped the cut back to Lanzini, who then just had the mouth of the goal open. I understand that there was issues with the defence, but surely Hendo, and again I know he's learning, he's come back from a spell in injury, he was a 23s as well, gets his back. Why was he stood so close to his near post when Ryan Fredericks was literally on the touchline? That is the question, and I'm not saying Hendo because I rate him. I just want to know the answer to that question. So there we go. I waffle on a bit more than I wanted to, but hopefully there'll be some points.
I'm not a goalkeeper, so I can't really answer that. But I was critical of Hendo as well, because also he almost dived over the ball. Now, it's difficult to see on TV exactly how much pace was put on it, whether or not he could have reacted quicker. But I think his positioning was probably, slightly wrong. But it all came from Tellez being beaten way too easy, and Sancho and Matic. So that was the biggest problem. I just want to touch on Lingard quickly because I tend to agree with you. I thought he was excellent tonight. And the reason why he appeared to be ball hogging, he wasn't ball hogging. The reason he appeared to be, he had no one running in behind the defence for him. He got no one to pass it to. When you've got no movement in front of you, what you're supposed to do, you've got to hold the ball. So that was the biggest issue tonight. And you're absolutely right, Jamie, about the crossing. A waste of time putting crosses in because there's no one in a million. That cross from Dalot for Martial. If Cavani had been there, he'd have been licking his lips, and it'd have been one each. I think it was it before the goal or after the goal?
After.
It was after the goal. It was hell of a cross. It really
West
was.
Ham scored in like the 6th minute or something, wasn't
it? It was hell of a cross, and we just got the wrong player there, hadn't we? So I don't know what's up with Cavani, whether he's injured or not, but just one of those nights. It is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is.
For me, look, I think with Martial, like I said it earlier, I think he's done. I think that if we had, I do feel like if we had Edison Cavani, of course Ronaldo, or even Marcus Rashford back, I do feel like we would have scored a goal. The amount we did put quality crosses in, it weren't every single time, but if there were one or two, like you said, Stu, the one that flash past Martial. If that was Cavani, I think he's got his head to it.
He scores.
And you could probably back Cavani to try and beat Craig Dawson in the air a couple times, and you probably back him as well to the couple times that he does. One of them will be on target and make the keeper work at least. Just to quickly touch on that Van der Beek conversation. I know we're well past it, but I wrote down some notes over it. I still don't think he gets over McFred, and I tell you why. It's because McFred, with them two, what they give you is they give you tenacity, and they give you two players who can just get across that pitch. Now, look, if Van der Beek can do what Fred does in terms of his energy, in terms of just winning the ball back, then fair enough. He'll be in that 11, but I just don't think he does. And what Fred does really well, and look, I'm not saying he's the absolute perfect number 6 because he isn't, right? I mean, he can't pass for shit. But the problem is the reason why he's in that team is because he gets across that pitch so quickly. He gets in his positions so quickly. I just don't think Van der Beek does that. And I think if we play against a low block, and of course it worked today with Matic next to him, but put him in a midfield, even in any of the top 6, I don't think Matic and Van der Beek do it. McFred have to do it.
So Bainesy, I'll take your point, and I get. No, I'm not going to berate you. I think you're right. What I would say is that there's two things really, 2 points. First and foremost, being out of the cup gives us less matches, so it gives players less time. Less 90 minutes. And secondly, a player like Donny, I don't know why, I'm not defending him by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm saying is, he's got to play his way into the team. But if we get injuries to Fred, Matic and McTominay, look, I know it's rare that all three of them are going to get injured, but 2 of them might. You've got to have a player ready to step in. And he's got to play more just to... He's ready to step in.
I agree with that.
And it really is a difficult one. As I said, you guys all know your beans when it comes to football, and we all see it differently, but ultimately we see it the same, which I know is a bit of a strange phrase, but we do. And that's what I think. And I think Ollie's probably realised that this year with a couple of players. Tellez, we know has been injured or he's had COVID issues, and he looked well off the pace tonight, didn't he, Tellez? Great crosser.
All over the place.
Yeah. And so there's a couple of, Matty Gattel hadn't played for, what is it? I can't remember. When was the last time he kicked a ball for us, Matty? I can't remember.
Wolves,
he's still got
that season.
Yeah, that's it. He's still got that quality, though, hasn't he? He's still got that touch, that first touch, that vision. But he's a 20-minute player now. He's not a 90-minute player. So Ollie's got some decisions to make moving forward with the squad players. But he's got to utilise them more. He's got to utilise them better. And did you fall off your chair there, Jamie, or did your phone go?
My phone went off the stand in the pub.
I thought you'd gone then. But yeah, anyway, that's my point. So.
Right, I'm jumping in. I've seen some comments that have annoyed me. I told you if you said that was Ollie's problem.
I knew it.
So a lot of you can shut.
Which ones?
I saw one there
for Liverpool Hawk. This is why Ollie is not good enough to manage first-class clubs. Just shut up, mate. Anyway, yeah. So it was going to be a bit erratic tonight. Obviously, when you throw in 11 changes and it's full of players that are trying to prove a point, ultimately a lot of them did fail. But you know, when you try and make so many changes, who will try and stake a claim for a future place in the first 11, it is going to be a little bit erratic, and it's going to be a little bit fun, and it's going to be a little bit, it's just going to be a little bit hit and miss, isn't it? And ultimately, that is what happened. You know, it was kind of look, the overreaction was expected, wasn't it? And no one should really be expecting Martial to be making much movement anymore. You know, it just seems to be the kind of player he is. He looked like he went for a Toby Carvery before the game and then turned up after eating too much beef. So I've kind of had enough with that little argument. And you know, I thought Matic was okay. I thought he did well. He was one of our best midfielders. Van der Beek did well. Sancho was brilliant. I actually forgot he played tonight, which is pretty crazy considering every now and then when he plays, he acts like he's fighting the army. So I don't know, but yeah, it was rusty Brown night. It was a little bit rusty in places, but you know, like people saying about Tellez, he's been out injured since July. He's a great crosser of the ball. Solves the low. I've just seen a comment from James. It's nice to see a right back with quite a lot of attacking intent. Obviously, he's not as defensively sound as Wan-Bissaka, but Delow's a great crosser of the ball as well. Look, it was one of them nights where it didn't work out for us. But people are moaning and saying, oh, well, it's on Ollie and he shouldn't have made the 11 changes. If we'd have played our first 11 tonight, they'd have been moaning that there was no rotation. The guy can't win. He can either play a full first team,
he's
not
damned
rest
if he does
anybody.
and damned if he doesn't, isn't he?
Yeah, you know, he could play a full first team, not rest anybody, and then lose against Aston Villa at 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, by the way.
Fucking useless.
Or he can rotate the team and get ready for the league and ultimately lose out on a competition that, yeah, it was a good opportunity for a trophy, but we haven't won it. We didn't win it last season or the season before that. It stopped a ridiculous semi-final exit. So, you know, it's just... This is a different T-shirt.
I saw that coming. I was gonna bring it up, and I thought, no, I won't harm him.
It's a different T-shirt.
So we've just found out more exciting news. There's a fight down the road to the Connor, and Jamie's got some words to say.
Oh yeah, so obviously I'm going to shoot off. Just because I'm aware that I'm in the pub and going to be the best environment, but you know, hopefully the viewers have enjoyed the atmosphere. The final things I'll say, I agree exactly with what Callum said about not being asked. At the end of the day, City have won the fucking trophy. Sorry, City have won the trophy 4 years on the bounce, whatever it is. We all know that they'll draw every weak side, and I know they drew West Ham. So we know that Dave Moyes will put out, you know, I don't know, they'll put on Mark Noble's son or something like that, because they'll get easy draws through the whole way, and they'll somehow manage to draw Swindon Town in the semi-final and put 9 past them. So at the end of the day, I'm really not bothered. So the final thing I'll say is, don't overreact. Don't go on Twitter and start beefing players. It was a Carabao Cup game that no one was really asked about. You know, at the end of the day, we've got Ronaldo. We're going to win every other pot for the next couple of years. The guy's going to score 42 goals and Varane's going to be a monster. So there's nothing to worry about, lads. Just calm down and let's all just love each other again. Stop being the most divided fan base around. And, you know, big up off United. You know, Mark, I'm sorry for the quick change of scenery, like I say, but hopefully you've all heard me what happened in the pub. And I love this channel because, you know, we seem to be level-headed and the debates we have, the disagreements we have are never agenda-based and we all get on really well and it's all knowledge-based. So, you know, there's plenty of other good channels out there as well, but Jesus Christ, please stop listening to the opinions of people who have Twitter names like fucking Martial season and stuff like that, and you know, and delicious Dallo and stuff like that. Like, bro, honestly,
Delicious Dallo.
Do you know what I mean? It always is. And there was an airbrushed picture of Diogo Dalot, and it's just like, and they'll tweet a 3-minute compilation of his assists while he was playing for. You know, he from Porto. I remember.
Yeah, that's right.
Porto's under 18, and they'll be like,
Porto, yeah.
And they picked him against Wan-Bissaka, and I made this point on Uncut, and this is where I signed off. I made this point on Uncut the other week. If football Twitter was around when we were dominating and winning everything, we'd have had Carlos Tevez Twitter accounts beefing, Wayne Rooney Twitter accounts beefing, Dimitar Berg. They're just like, mate. But luckily, at that period of time, all United fans understood that we had the best 4 in the world. No one touched us. Yeah. And I back to those days. So lots of love. Don't know.
You know something, Jamie? You're right. If Twitter had been around in the 70s, before the Ferg era, trust me, things would be a lot fucking easier.
Disaster.
Can you imagine the Holy Trinity all beefing against each other on Twitter? You've got someone with a Twitter name called Luscious Law, and Cute Charlton being like, what does Luscious Law do? And it's just like, do you know what I mean, bro? We all support the same football club, man. Get behind it. End of the day,
I don't get that.
Whether or not somebody tweets about how they want out, the guy's here to stay. He's done more in the time that he's been the manager than the previous managers have done for him in terms of the culture of the club. I don't care that Mourinho won a Europa League, a League Cup, and all that nonsense. I care about how we seem to actually be a decent club again. So on that note, lots of love, all the best. Thank you for being the best channel, and I'll see you soon.
Well said, Jamie.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I'll tell you what, he says some beautiful words sometimes, doesn't he? He says some beautiful words. Absolute baller he is. Now, listen, I'm going to come to Marcus. I'm really sorry about this, mate. Let me just say, this is what happens when you come on a show with Callum, Jamie and Stu. They start trying to get a word in edgeway. So I do apologise, my man. There's a lot of talk tonight about, I don't want to start a debate, but lots of Ollie out coming out tonight and saying it's his fault. And so I'll come to you two in a bit. But do you surely after tonight, this was the second team essentially, lots of changes made. The players need to take the blame for this. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't even think it's about taking blame even, because I think them losing this game for me is almost acceptable. And I know a lot of people will be upset by that, but they haven't played together. So a chemistry issue, is definitely a thing. But also, I just think a lot of these players haven't had, even individually, they haven't had that many minutes. And yes, there's definitely question marks about this coaching stuff. Yes, there's definitely question marks about the way we play. But I often feel like times in this fan base, a lot of people don't, I don't know whether they're too lazy to articulate their opinion properly or they genuinely believe Ollie's a PE teacher. I just think that's disrespectful. I really, really do. Because to say we have no tactics, it's ridiculous. You complain that we play too many long balls, but then you say we have no tactics. But it's no, our tactic is clearly to be direct, to play a lot of long balls over the top, get runners in behind. You might think those tactics are naive. You might think they're not going to win us anything, but say that. Don't just go ahead and call him a Wally or a PE teacher and things like that. So I do think there is an immaturity, and that's the first part. The second part is you're not really proving anything today because it was a new team, right? So we all knew that the quality was going to drop, right? If anything, this is not the point to start, being like, oh yeah, this is why I'm Ollie out. Rah, 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 rah. It's bro, this is not the time for it. So I think it is a bit ridiculous, and
It's. I'm sorry I asked that question. I really didn't want to start anything, and I saw Callum going red with rage and Stu ready to pop me as well. But I had you on before, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. But no, perfectly. You're absolutely right. This is the Carabao Cup, and whilst we want to be in to win everything, it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out, and of course we're going to be sat here, and lots of people are going to have a go because we've not won a game. We don't win every game. Ferguson didn't win every game. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Callum, you're shaking your head.
I'm sick of it. I can't be arsed.
The thing is, though, Mark, it's not even it doesn't even need to be a debate. I'm telling you now, this is all social media driven. You go to any game, home and away, there is not even a single person talking about it. It is all social media driven because people are after their own agendas and their own likes and whatever they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Like Marcus put it brilliantly there. There's no actual points or substance behind what they're saying. It's always like there's no tactics. Well, there is.
Do you know what?
Clearly
I can't.
is.
Do you know what? I can be asked. How does
Also, can I say?
How does
Can I also
Solskjaer not have any in-game tactics? It's totally ridiculous. You don't just win by 30 away games. Sorry, don't go unbeaten in 30 away games. It's not just sheer luck, is it?
I had this conversation the other day. Someone was moaning about the fact that we're unbeaten in 29 away games and we've been lucky time will run out. But you don't get to 29 away games with no tactics, no directions. Go on, Marcus. What were you saying, bro?
I was also going to say, like, even if you are like Ollie out, right? Like, my thing is, like, I respect your opinion as long as, you know, it's valid and like you rationalize it properly. But now's not the time anyways, right? Like, we're not top of the league, but we're basically on the same points as Chelsea at the moment. It's irrational to sack a manager who's sat third in the Premier League, tied with the league leaders at this point of the season. Like, if anything, this conversation should be resurfaced later on in the season. December, January, February. Let's see where we are. If you were Ollie out in the summer, he's here. He's here. Whether you like it or not, he's here. So raising your blood pressure, bro, it ain't going to do anything. Like, you could scream Ollie out to the top of your lungs. He's not getting sacked tomorrow. So if anything, just wait until December, wait until January, wait until February, and then hash the conversation then. What I don't get is this is the most weird and awkward time to have a conversation about a manager, because it's not like he's lost the first 3 games of the season. We've actually started pretty well. We've started pretty well. We've had more shots on target in the game against West Ham than we did in all the previous games and most of the games last season. We've created a lot more chances. And you know what? There are genuine positives, but I think some people just choose to ignore it because they're so stuck in their opinion and they want to stay loyal to that opinion, because if you change your mind nowadays, you're a flip-flop, aren't you?
For me,
Marcus, one second. Marcus, I'm going to get you on again, bro. That was perfectly put. Thank you very much. Go on, Callum.
You're totally right, to be fair. The thing is, though, I mean, with it being the Carabao Cup, and we have obviously debated about it being the least prioritised and, you know, the least important trophy. If he would have gone and won this, fans of the Ollie outside or whatever you want to call it would have still just gone, well, it doesn't count as a trophy, really.
Yeah, that's what.
So again, like, they're so blinded to that opinion. He will go win the Champions League this season, and it will be Ronaldo's doing, not Ollie's. He could go win the league, and it'll be Bruno's doing. It won't be Ollie's. They will refuse to give the guy credit because they are so blinded by their own opinion. There is nothing wrong with criticising a manager. There is nothing wrong with, you know, a game of football, you win or lose, or draw, obviously, but it's a game of winning or losing, right? It happens. A manager shouldn't be losing his job because he loses a game of football. Yeah, you can question his tactics, and yeah, you can question how we won or how we lost or whatever. But why is it always a should be sacked? It really is a pathetic argument. It's a narrative driven from media, from Twitter, to get popular, to rile up United fans.
Callum,
if you listen to the stadium tonight, they are all so solidly behind him, and you can't.
Yeah, you heard the chants at the end, didn't you? They were
You
very
cannot
much
solely blame a manager for tactics and losing games and stuff, and then call it individual brilliance to to win more games by 5 goals than the previous 3 managers combined. You
But
can't.
Callum, people who talk about no tactics, they're clowns anyway because they don't understand football. And this is what winds me up more than anything. Like, fucking vexes me big time. You see these Twitter so-called coaches. They say we've got a coaching issue here, we've got a tactical issue here. Well, come on here then and tell me what is the coaching issue. Tell me exactly, Mr. Coach, what you would do to sort out our fucking first 11. You clam up because you haven't got a clue. You don't understand.
To add to that, Stu, they come out with a coaching issue and say that they're not experienced. Kieran McKenna is one of the most sought-after coaches, young coaches in Europe. Eric Ramsey's come in. We've still not conceded from a set piece, so it's clearly happened.
It's not
there were a few positives from tonight, but ultimately it always gets overshadowed by more moronic opinions. You
Well,
can
do you know the
disagree,
funny
but if
thing
you
is-
don't have an actual argument to back these things
Well,
up, then
this
it's
is
just it's redundant to listen to.
And do you know the comical thing about it is when people go on about coaching and tactics, you're telling me that Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't know how to play the game of football?
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? Is that what people are literally telling me, that Ronaldo doesn't know how to play? And it's nuts, it is. Ollie has done a wonderful job. I'll tell you what, the other issue is, and I spoke about this the other day, actually, as you guys know, none of these fans lived in the 70s and the 80s where they'd be literally hanging themselves at how dire the football was.
Got relegated.
Well, 74 we came up, we were relegated. Yeah. So, I mean, I went to my first match 77. Dave Sexton was the manager. Woeful, absolutely woeful football. It was woeful under Ron Atkinson. And believe it or not, fellas, believe it or not, it wasn't the best under Fergie in the early years. It took Fergie a long time to mould and build a team. And you've got, but nowadays you can't give Ollie, or you won't give Ollie this time, you know. And unfortunately, the guys who are talking about coaching, who are talking about this and they're talking about that, won't look at the history of the club, won't look at the times where we had 15-year barren spell of not winning anything. You know, they won't look at all of that because Fergie was so successful. That's all they can live in. That's, you know, I was listening to somebody on a space the other day. I'm 34 years old, he said, and all my life we were winning things. Well, sorry, pal.
Doesn't always work like that.
Yeah, things change. And the best of it is, and this is the real funny part about the whole thing, is that they talk about the United DNA. They talk about they want fast flowing football. And Fergie used to play a 4-4-2. The end. That's what he used to play with. He used to play with two quick wingers, two centre forwards, and whoever the wingers were. And we were some great wingers: Coppell, Giggs, Gordon Hill. You know, we've had some brilliant Beckham, brilliant crosses of the ball, brilliant wingers. But that's how Fergie used to play. And now, because FIFA's taken over, you've got to have a false nine. You've got to have a double pivot. You've got to have a single this. You've got to have an outside. You've got to understand the evolution of a football club. And we're just going through that time at the moment where we've got to start to rebuild properly. And you've got to give Ollie time. And if the people don't get that, they don't understand football. I'm sorry, but they don't. And that's why it winds me up. That's why I get vexed out.
I totally agree. Listen, we've had this conversation so many times.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. No, it's okay. I'm just gonna try and put a bit of a positive stint on it. Okay, so you're absolutely right. People do it for clout. People do it for likes, and you have to take yourself away from those things. But you've also pointed out, which you're absolutely right. He has changed the culture and everything. He is building something, and one game doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Even if it was the last game of the season in the Premier League title and we lose on it, ultimately it doesn't really mean anything. It's about the progression. It's about what we build upon the year before, and we've seen that with Ollie over the last few years. He has done, like Jamie said before he left, he has done more in the last few years than we have had since Ferguson left. Anybody. They didn't get to build a foundation, they didn't bring in the right players, and they didn't instill a sort of philosophy. Excuse me for sounding like Louis van Gaal, right? But he is doing that, okay?
I just put in just quickly, right?
Go.
Van Gaal, I'm sorry. I'm just going to talk to you about the modern day football fan, right? And I'm going to sum it up very, very quickly. Tell me a manager that would sit in a press conference before Louis van Gaal and use the word philosophy.
Probably
Nobody.
Nobody used it. Louis van Gaal comes in, philosophy. Now everything's a philosophy.
Yeah.
Everything is based on
It's because it's trendy, Stu.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't think it's that. I generally think that people sacking a manager this early is good because Chelsea do it, and for some odd reason they're successful. Like, how many times have they sacked a manager mid-season and then gone on to win something? They've won leagues. Conte won. They sacked their manager. Conte won the league the next season, then won the FA Cup. They sacked Lampard and won the Champions League. Di Matteo was an interim manager and won the Champions League with them. I think it's generally because of Chelsea. I think people are looking at Chelsea and going, well, they sacked a manager, got the right person in by the way, that right person only being there for 2 years, won them something, and then got sacked the next season. Mourinho did it twice. So I generally think it's because of Chelsea.
Yeah, but they've got money to throw about, haven't they? And I'm not saying that United
They've got
haven't.
half a billion to spend on each manager.
They spend 30 million at the end of each bloody reign. So
exactly.
I think we need to remember a really important point, right? A League Cup win does not constitute a successful season for Man United, right?
No, it
so
doesn't.
this Ollie needs a trophy thing. Although it would be great to get one, we need to remember that if he does, I personally think if he doesn't get one this season, he should not be sacked. He should not be sacked.
It needs context.
It needs context. He needs to have a strong showing in the league, I think. Because look, City and Chelsea squad, Man United is not as good as theirs. It just isn't.
And I think that's what I wanted to come on to next, actually, just very quickly, Cal. I think that was the biggest thing for me tonight. You know, lots of people have spoken about how good United's squad is, how much depth they've got. And yes, there might be depth, but that second team, and that's not every player, is just not Chelsea and City, is it?
Well, look, right. You cannot blame Ollie if he doesn't get past Chelsea and City, right? Their squads are brilliant. There's so many variables in football that you need to have. You need to have luck, referees to an extent, the tactics, the winning the games, everything. There's so many different things. And if we were to go through all the way to the Carabao Cup final and win it, right, and finish fourth, is that an improvement on last season? Because I don't think it is. No. It's not. The Carabao Cup doesn't constitute a successful season. And this argument that a trophy would catapult United to further success, or the Carabao Cup trophy would catapult us to further success.
I mean, it will help. It would help.
I don't think it will, though.
You don't?
You know what?
I don't think it means anything, to be completely honest. Look, the squad we've got is good, but it's not Chelsea's and City's, right? Let's have it right. So if we don't get past them, it's not some idea that, Ollie's no good. Their squad's better, and they might have had other variables, injuries, refereeing, luck, blah, 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 all so many different things. So this idea that, if he doesn't win a trophy this season, he needs to be sacked, it's ridiculous. He needs top four. If he doesn't get top four, then fine. But fourth place in the Carabao Cup isn't progress on last season, but he should still not be sacked for it.
He the thing about squad depth, and I spoke about squad depth a lot, Mark, as you well know. Connor, you well know. Bainesy, you probably know I've spoken about squad depth with you, and I've spoken about it all the time. And we knew where our deficiencies within our squad lie, and they're still floating around there. But when you look at the signings that Ollie's made, and the 2.5 years he's been with us, that was all about shaping the squad for the future, not just today, but for the future. And the players that we got coming through, your Alangas, look pretty decent, I thought.
When he looked good today.
Yeah,
he looked good.
This is the best current crop of young players coming through the academy in a long time.
Without a doubt.
Right.
And you got that Hannibal guy.
Hannibal Mejbri, sure.
Sorry, I absolutely butchered his last name.
Mejbri. Yeah,
something like that. He looks brilliant. He looks absolutely brilliant.
And if you bring those through, I'm not saying Ollie's going to try and do what Fergie did with the class of '92, because you never see that again. But if you remember when the Nevilles come through, Scholes, Giggs, etc., they were sprinkled with real experience. So there's a sprinkling of experience and that energetic youth that we had, and we're getting there again slowly. And when you come the summer, you'll see another 3 or 4 players out the door, another couple come in, and it just adds. So, and Mark, you'll remember this when we had a discussion must have been about 8 months ago when Ollie's first.
I can't remember what happened 8 minutes ago.
Well, that's true. But Ollie was first floated about getting a new deal. Should it be for 2 years? And I said no, it should be for 4 years, because he has to have that time.
Yeah.
And I'll stick by that, and I'll stand by that, and anyone can come at me over that, and I don't care, because I will stand by that. And I think we're at the beginnings now, and plus the manager after Ollie, I think we're at the beginnings of having a really, really strong squad. And I'll just touch on Tuchel quickly. people can say what they like about Lampard, but the squad that he left to Tuchel, in terms of experience, in terms of youth that he brought through, was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's only added Lukaku, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Last year, he's added a 30-goal striker there. That, by the way, will thrive in that Tuchel system. He didn't thrive at United because his head wasn't in the right space. He put on weight, system worked right for him, whatever. But in that Tuchel system, if you just take out Werner and then just put in Lukaku, he's banging in 25, 30 goals for you. So
exactly right. And City, if you remember, Guardiola bought a back four.
Yeah,
one summer.
Twice.
Back four twice.
Twice.
Yeah, he has. He's probably on about 400 million on back four players.
Yeah.
So you just got to look at it for the longevity of the project rather than the short term of the project. And unfortunately, people are looking at the here and now rather than 3-4 years down the line. So anyway,
Connor, you said you wanted to go in a minute ago.
I'm all fucking depressed. Jesus Christ! Can we just talk about a positive?
It's not been that bad.
We need to spin it.
Can we just talk about how good Mason Greenwood is, like for 5 minutes or something?
All right, Connor. In the next 4.5 minutes, telling me how good Mason was when he came on, because you're absolutely right. He was excellent, and it's nice to see that he's had that lease life. He's been phenomenal this season, and he came on and was brilliant.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna. I won't be able to last that long, but I'm going to quickly rephrase that because I know where that's going to end
out of context.
So if it does, you can fucking rule me out.
Timestamp it.
Brown Knight, I know you're still watching. There you go. There's your timestamp to clip me up. Anyway, no, I just wanted to say how I tweeted it earlier that the fact that Mason Greenwood is still only 19 and he's coming on and changing games for us. We haven't. I know we've already spoken about Martial, but what other player in our squad do you think does that? Comes on at 19 and changes a game like in the way that he did, and it's not like he made like a couple of little shots, and a small impact. The whole game changed around him. Every time we got the ball, where's Greenwood? It was going out to
stadium.
Him. Exactly, everything lifted, and I just think. Yeah. I think was it you, Painty, earlier? It might have been Jamie that said. There's no ceiling to how good Greenwood could be. There really isn't. At 19, if he's doing this, just coming on the pitch and just completely, for 70,000 fans, I know he's used to it probably by now. But in a game that we're losing, and to change the game the way he did, like I said, the fact that you've got your experienced players, Matic, Bruno, Donny, even Sancho to some extent, looking towards him. Where's Greenwood on the pitch? That's their number one thought because they know he can change a game. I know he had that one chance. And to be fair, it wasn't a bad shot. It was probably a good save, 50-50, kind of half bad, half good save. But, yeah, I just thought he was... And I think there's a lot of assumptions that when Rashford's fit, he comes straight into the team and that Greenwood goes out and Sancho, it's a Sancho, Rashford, Ronaldo front three. For me, Rashford's got to play his way into the team because I don't think you can drop Greenwood. It'll be Sancho for me if you're going to take anyone out. For Rashford to come back in because Greenwood is that good at the minute. You cannot take him out of this side. So I just think it's brilliant. I would rather have him not come on because I'm that kind of person. I didn't want to risk any injuries and look ahead to the Premier League. But he was just absolutely electric. I watched him in the kind of 18s and then in the 21s as it was then, now the 23s, and you knew he was good. He was scoring like 50 goals in the under 18s. There's a lot of players, not many players that get to that, but there are players that look good at that level and not quite make it. I think even United fans that watch the academy are surprised at how good he's become because yes, he was incredible at under 18 and 21 level, like under 21s. But my God, has he taken it to another level? And I don't like comparisons and think so. I'm not going to compare him to anyone, but there's absolutely no ceiling to how good Greenwood could be this year. And like I said earlier, I think people are just assuming that he's going to be out of the team when Rashford comes back. I don't think he will be, to be honest.
I'm sorry, but Rashford, he's brilliant. Rashford's brilliant, and agree exactly what you say, Connor, about Greenwood. But I think for me, Rashford has to play his way into that team because at the moment, he's not going to replace Ronaldo. He's not going to replace Greenwood, who's on fire at the moment. Arguably, he could come in for Sancho. Obviously, Bruno is Bruno. He does what he does. So who's he?
I'm not even sure. I'm going to be honest. I know you weren't slandering him, Connor, but I don't even know if you would take Sancho out. I think actually Sancho has been very underrated so far. I think his creativity tonight's been excellent. The last game against West Ham, he came on and made an impact. I think he's actually the limelight's been taken off of him, and it's a bit like the whole Pogba situation again, because he's not banging in goals, getting assists left, right, and centre. It's a problem for Sancho, and because he's not doing that, people are obviously going to be quick to go in. I heard the commentators saying tonight that Sancho hasn't lit anything up. He was really, really negative about him, and I totally disagree with that. I think he's been great. What are you saying?
I just said oi.
Sorry.
Do you know something? And I will quickly jump in here. I think you're right about Sancho, and I think Ollie's got a bit of a headache coming with Rashford, and I don't see him coming straight back into it either. I tend to agree with Connor about Greenwood, but I've always said he's better out wide than he is through the middle anyway, just at this point of his career. Who knows where he'll be in 2 or 3 years' time. But, I think you'd be hard pushed to take Greenwood out. I tend to agree with you, Connor.
I mean, competition in a good squad is always healthy.
Need it.
The idea of Rashford having to fight his place is something that nobody would have considered 2-3 years ago, which is quite insane to say.
Not even last year.
Yeah, not even last year.
Do you remember,
Rashford was a mainstay.
I don't know if anyone remembers. It was a couple of years ago under Mourinho, and he would start Martial, who wouldn't score, take Martial off, put on Rashford, who then would score. Then he would start Rashford, who wouldn't score, bring on Martial, who would then score. And I swear that happened like 6 games in a row.
It was that 4-0 FC run, wasn't it?
It was 4-0 FC, right at the start of the season. And I remember looking at that, and I have a strange feeling Sancho and Rashford are going to do the same thing. There's one of them is not going to score. The other one will come up and score.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, Bainesy. I mean, Rashford's got a long way back to this first team, to be fair. But on the flip side of it, though, how good will it be to have a hungry Rashford desperate to regain his first team place? It can only be great for the team, can't it?
And a fully fit one as well.
Yeah,
well, this is it. I think it would give him. He's going to be hungry to come back. They're going to not necessarily rush him back, but he's going to be desperate to get in. And if he means he has to fight for his place, that obviously starts a bit of competition, and B, it probably gives him just that little bit extra time that he needs, and that we can rely without him now, can't we?
Yeah, we don't need to rush him back. Obviously, we've had to do that in the past, and his injuries have kind of crept up on him even more by doing that. But I think the best thing that we need to look at is United's front three is absolutely sorted for 10 years. Greenwood up front, Rashford on the left, Sancho on the right. That's a dangerous attack now. 5 years' time, that could be the best in the world.
Just one quick thing. Fergie always used to plan for part 2 of the season, always the second half of the season, going in with a fully fit squad. He would try and do injuries, he would try and do surgeries before Christmas, and then after Christmas, that's when he would look at it to make sure he got a fully fit squad to finish running. Yeah. Now with Rashford, with Ollie bringing in Rashford slowly but surely, he can do the same with Cavani now because we've got Ronaldo, and he can alternate the two. He can do the same with Sancho. He can take Sancho out of the equation if he needs to, and he's got this ability to do that. And it kind of comes back to what I was saying about the midfield issues that we've got. If we do have any injuries, we've got players that can step in, and same at fullback. So and goalkeeper and centre half. So from a squad balance point of view, we're in a really, really strong position. So, Mark, I will be quiet now for the rest of the stream.
Hey, listen, Stu, it wasn't a dig at you at all. I love you all very much.
Yeah,
it was.
You've upset me now.
It was.
You've upset me.
It was. You're absolutely right. Now I'm only playing. Right, Marcus, I'm going to ask you one question. After tonight's not really abysmal display, but unfortunate result, is it still title 21 and 22 for you?
I mean, for me, I'm very positive this season. The result doesn't change anything. And the reason why for me is I know a lot of people are very skeptical about whether or not we're ready to win. For me, we're ready. I think this season rests on how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to use the squad. And I was very critical of him last season because I felt like he didn't have the courage to make some of the big decisions. I think now I want to see, where is Paul Pogba going to play in the team? Is he going to keep getting shoehorned in on the left, or is he going to come back into the midfield? What's going on with McFred? What is going on with your front three? Who's going to be your best front three for the season going forward? And I think if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can answer these questions and we can see some consistency in his team selections, not like playing the same players every game like he did last season, but in the big games that matter, then I'll be very, very happy and I'll be very optimistic. But if we start to see a different XI every week and we start seeing strange formations and Rashford just walks straight back into the team after maybe, I don't know, Sancho scores a brace, but he just gets taken out, that's going to be a concern. And so as long as Ollie picks the right teams and continues to show faith in the right players, as opposed to being loyal to Fred and McTominay when they don't play well, then I'm happy. And I think we can definitely mount a title charge, definitely go deep into the Champions League. I actually think we have more chance of winning the Champions League under Ollie than we do the league, because I feel like his playing style is suited towards knockout football. We've seen what he can do in a one-off game against PSG, against Man City. The problem with the league is I feel like we'll keep losing City games to teams like West Ham, etc., etc. And, that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, I'm very optimistic this season. Like
Marcus,
this result changes nothing.
I couldn't have put it better myself, mate. That was wonderful, and that's exactly the type of positivity I want to see. Very, very well put. Yeah. Callum always has to get
is there something going on with you?
Eh? No, mate.
I mean, Jesus, what the hell's going on here?
Marcus needs to come back. That's what I say.
I was going to say, me and Marcus have been tweeting each other for ages, and it was only whenever you came on the show the other day, I realised who you were.
Oh yeah, and I couldn't see your camera before because my thing was bugging out as well, so I didn't know.
What a baller! Right, so as per usual, Callum has to get the last word in. He loves to get the last word in. So, Cal.
Why would you want to be in the League Cup, right? Let's get out the League Cup because 21 is coming instead.
Yes.
Well, except we're out the League Cup.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
End it there.